Welcome to Club Damingo, brought to you by Cyclone Comics.
Right. Hello once again to Club Damingo, or as I'd like to call it, Mondays with McEwen. But we're never too sure when the show goes live, so calling it Mondays with McEwen is a bit of a misnomer. So it's Club Damingo for the time being.
Plus, there's also you.
Well,
We'll have to do Tuesdays with Chaloner.
yeah. So how you been?
Great, thanks. How about you? It was your birthday yesterday, our time. Happy
Yes.
birthday.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yes, it was very relaxing, and it was a nice chill day. So next subject beyond birthday. Yeah.
Fair
So
enough.
what are we going to talk about today? Do you have anything in mind?
I don't have anything. I think I'll have stuff to add to what you've brought to the table
Right.
today.
Okay.
So
Well, I've got a
go
couple of
for it,
things.
Mr.
I've got a
Chaloner.
couple of things. It was my birthday
Yeah.
yesterday, as you just said, and I was sitting down watching some monster movies or whatever movies I'd like, and a couple of episodes of MasterChef, which is pretty horrific at best, but it was a pretty cruisy day. But I was watching.
Are you really a MasterChef fan?
It's something that me and my partner sit down and watch together.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I've never like really gotten totally into it, but I like what's the term that it's not like other reality competition shows where everyone's trying to drag everyone down. It seems to constantly be about trying to make people better at what it is that they love to do.
Yeah.
They even have those little master classes and all of that stuff. I always kind of had some extra respect for MasterChef in that regard. So yeah.
And the Australian show seems to be the best, if not one of the best, of the international iterations of the show. So it's a bit better than the others. So yeah, I enjoy it. Yeah, I'm not a
Yeah.
fixatable fan. It's just something that we sit down to eat together at night in front of the telly. What do we watch that we're both going to get something out of or enjoy? And there's so much crap around, and it was like a nice middle ground. We locked in on an old celebrity Master Chef that we thought was quite fun, and we finished that season, and now we've just chosen another one at random and working our way through it. And
Cool.
yeah. But anyway, so
Very good. Yeah.
I was watching a movie
Sorry to
yesterday,
interrupt.
and this happens to me a lot, where you watch a movie and there's an idea or concept in there that you were using yourself, or is something that you thought no one's ever going to think of that, and then it pops up in another comic or another novel or another TV show that is higher profile than your project will ever be. But it's an idea that if someone was to read this project that I'm doing, once it's finished, they'd automatically go, "Oh, he's just ripped off that idea from that movie." Now, I don't know whether there's a name for that that experience as a creator, but have you ever come across that before yourself?
Oh man, I'm sure I have. Off the top of my head, I can't think of what it was. I'm not quite as like Greener Pastures has really been almost my total focus creatively. So it's not terribly often. I mean, I've got folders full of notes for other ideas that I'd like to tackle one day when Greener Pastures is finished. But because of that, I kind of come up with an idea and then pack it away, and so.
Right.
And it doesn't bother me. I mean, we've talked about this before, right? That it's the Chaloner spin on it or the McEwen spin on it that will make it worth watching.
Yeah, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. But this thing that I saw yesterday wasn't important to the overall plot or structure or anything like that. It was just a setup scenario that was so similar to what I wanted to do that I've actually worked into this storyline, and I've had it for years, and I just haven't had the benefit of finishing the storyline, so it hasn't been out there. But this thing's come along and used this idea, and while it's not key, it visually was something that I thought, oh, damn, now I can't use that because it's too bloody close to what I was going to do. And I'm just going to have to rip out
Yeah.
that cool visual because someone else has used it. And it would have been it was a central point to this movie, beginning and end, a location. And in my story, it would be central to the story as well as a location. But now I have to rip that
Oh,
out
right.
and reconfigure the location. It doesn't change the
Oh,
story. It doesn't change anything, but it's just that it was a cool location that as I was watching it, I was going, you're kidding me. How could they possibly have come up with that, which was just too close to
so
what I was doing?
it's not incidental to your story. It's pretty integral, as in
It's like saying I've set the ending on the Harbour Bridge in Sydney. And
Mhm.
I mean that's a big call. You can do that then quite safely, and interpretation would be everything.
Yeah, yeah.
This was a very specific, like, well, how can we close it in closer than the Harbour Bridge? A certain restaurant in Sydney, and
Right.
it was key to the overarching plot. Now that has to no, we can't have it set in a restaurant at all. We have to reconfigure it to be somewhere else. It doesn't affect the
Mm,
story, but
mm.
it was an important visual.
How well known is this movie? How well known is the movie that you saw this in?
Pretty high profile. Pretty. Oh, I can give it away. We can talk about it, I suppose. In fact, yeah. It's now that I'm not
It,
using it because I can't and I won't. I think it's a bit too close, and it'd be good to talk about to see
oh,
whether you think, oh, don't worry about it, or yeah, that is annoying.
mm,
It was Wolfman, the new not 2025 version of not version. It's not a remake, but it was just a horror movie called Wolfman
yeah.
that Lee Wannell, the
Mm,
Australian director who did Saw and
mm,
Invisible Man and a few other things, has made. And it's
mm.
set in, I think, Oregon, if I remember correctly, in the country where they have a lot of deer hunters. And because they have deer hunters, they have deer hides, which are, the up high, a couple of meters in the air. There's little buildings on stilts with a little ladder and stuff. So there's a scene at the
Gotcha.
beginning
Yeah.
and at the end of this movie that is set around these deer hides. And
Ah, right.
in my story, I was going to use a thing that in Western Australia, down in the southwest, there were fire lookout huts that were
Hmm.
built very high in the branches of carry trees, which are huge. And these things had iron spikes in the trunk of the tree that would serve as a ladder that would go up like meters and meters and meters and meters into the air to the fire lookout
Mm,
station, which was hand-built wooden structure at the top where you go through the floor and you give access and you can see the forest and the canopy all around for many kilometres for bushfires. So there's very famous ones in
mm,
WA called the Centennial Tree and a few other ones that you can climb up there yourself. And they're all wired in for safety and stuff. But back in the day, you just climb up, hang on to these iron spikes, and you'd work your way around this
mm,
huge carry tree to get to the station upstairs. And so I had some action based in and around one of these. I was going
mm,
to transplant the
mm.
setting from WA to the Tasmanian wilderness and have these. We don't have them here, I don't think, in Tasmania, but to have this old, unused fire lookout as something that my characters would interact with as a cool place to have a confrontation in. And I just think the
Hmm.
whole the
I've
deer.
seen I've seen an I've seen an American, because I haven't seen Wolfman, but I've seen another I think American show or film where those kind of lookouts were important to the storyline as well, in like a forest or something.
Mhm.
Um, Pretty sure it was an American thing. Um, I don't I think the the transplanting of that to Tasmania is, and by the time you get to that point of your story, and I don't
It
know,
actually, it actually,
I think it's fine. That's what I think. I think it's fine
uh,
for you to carry it through and to have it. But yeah, go on.
yeah, I thought it was too close to the bone. Even the scene structure with what the characters were doing in the confrontation, and it's within the context of my werewolf story. This is a werewolf movie,
Mm,
and the context of the
that's where it
characters.
starts to get a bit too close.
Yeah, and the context to there's a confrontation as the creature is coming up the ladder to the hut up high, and there's a confrontation between the cast and the creature, and that's what I was going to do as well. And although
Right.
although it was going to play out differently, there is I would say, a good 70 to 80% similarity there where I was going, I'm not enjoying this movie anymore
Mm.
because I'm now rewriting my story.
Yeah. It's yeah, that's really interesting. I think
Now, if my story
I
was
can see
about
why it'd
clowns,
be
if my story was about clowns, I'd probably shake it off and go,
right.
well, that's similar, but I'll still keep on going with my horror story about clowns. But it isn't.
Yeah.
It's, mm.
Yeah, yeah. That's where it starts to get a little bit too close to the bone, isn't it? Well, it's a shame. Because it sounds like the reason why Warnell or the writer of Wolfman probably chose that location, the same reason you did, because it's exciting and it's interesting and it seems to be relatively unique and opens up a whole lot of tension because it's climbing and it's high and there's a whole
Interesting
lot of danger
visuals.
involved and
Hasn't
yeah,
been done too
interesting
many
visuals.
times. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And the problem is you have the visuals of what he did in your head when you're trying to lay out your page. I don't know, have you already laid that stuff out, or at least in your mind? Have you got
I
pretty
know
distinct visuals?
I have written it and written it and written it, but I haven't drawn or laid it out yet. But it's sort of locked into my mind
Yeah.
how my plot would play out. And it was there was a couple of tingles up the spine of has Lee broken into my house and read my Word document?
Yes, it's in the cloud. He's probably downloaded it somehow.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, fair enough. So the other, I think there are two ways to approach this, and one is bugger it. I like what I was doing, and I'm going to just plow through and like not to denigrate the movie, but how successful is it? Both critically and how many people have actually watched it. So is are people going to recognize it and think what you're concerned that they're going to think? So that's number one. You just go bugger it. I'm doing it because that's what I thought of in the first place, and that's what I want to do. And the other one is, well, here's the challenge. I will figure out a better way to do it, even than what I thought of the first time. This is now laid out in front of me that someone else has done it. So I guess I'll have to figure out an even better way to get to lay out that scene. I don't know if it's like how climactic a point of the story it is, but like a better way to even do it than
yeah,
I even had
yeah, yeah.
already set out. That's what I think. Your two possibilities are there.
Two.
Two,
Yeah.
two.
Yes. Well, no doubt it was frustrating, and Bell copped about 15 minutes of me going sweary face for a little while.
Just let me watch the movie, Gary. Shut up.
I mean, there's enough similarities from werewolf story to werewolf story to werewolf movie to all those the Venn
Mm,
diagrams of what is expected in a werewolf film or piece of art or literature without being that similar. This movie was
mm,
actually quite enjoyable because there were some sort
mhm.
of brave interpretations of the whole thing. It's worth watching. And if it wasn't for
Right.
that similarity of the deer rise, the hunting, tripod or building, it wasn't three legs, it was four.
Mm,
Um, I was really enjoying it, and it sort of took me out of the movie a little bit. But setting that
mm,
aside, and as a werewolf movie fan, I was actually enjoying it a real lot.
mm,
It got razzed out because it was people got the assumption that it was a remake of the Lon Chaney movie from 1941, and it just isn't. It's just
mhm.
another animal completely.
Right. Aha,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Did you end up watching Wolf Like Me? I pointed you towards that at one point.
That's the one with Isla Fisher in it, isn't it?
Isla Fisher.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I haven't seen it
Sounds
yet,
sounds
but
like not.
it is bookmarked.
Yeah.
Is that on a streamer? It's probably on a streamer that I refuse to register more than
I think
two at a time.
uh, it might be iView actually. I think,
Right.
but I
Okay.
could be wrong. You'd
Yeah.
have to look it up, or I can look it
Yeah.
up for you.
I'll give it a go. Yeah, it's easy enough to find.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, I haven't yet.
yeah.
No. But
Quite. I kind of Amory watches a lot of shows, and I kind of get the gist of them by walking in and out of the room. And that one kind of got me a little bit hooked because it was an interesting take on modern take on werewolves, and what you should do. And I mean, I guess it's done its second season, so it's not like spoilers or anything. Because I think from what I can remember, I think they tried to keep that whole kind of is she or isn't she thing going for a little while, as well. Which again is like, how hackneyed is that? Like, when you're asking the audience, is she or isn't she? Is that pretty hackneyed? I think it's fine for certain story characters to be going, is she or isn't she?
Yeah.
But is the there's a bit of a trope to try to keep that going for the audience as well. I don't know, the whole
Yeah.
psychological thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's sound
Yeah.
storytelling.
I watched something recently where it was another kind of, is he or isn't he? Like, is it? Oh no, it's not the one I was thinking of. But Emery just watched, and I watched a little bit over her shoulder, and then the whole last episode, After the Party, which is an old one, and that's on iView, from New Zealand, drama, I guess. It's not a thriller. It's not a psychological thriller. It's drama, and that's really great, full of did he or didn't he, and like the main protagonist, the wife. So that one's worth watching if you want something that's pretty. I can't tell you it's tightly written because I didn't watch the whole thing, but every bit that I did watch was pretty full and not no fluff in it, and really great acting as well.
Like an episode of MasterChef.
That's right. No fluff.
No fluff. That thing's edited the hell out of.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Can I get you to pause, because I keep on reaching for my cup of tea, and I've left it downstairs. Great. All right. All right. For the viewer at home, I just nicked downstairs to get my cuppa. I forgot it was still down there.
Yeah,
that was why we paused.
The essential prop. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So so frustrations on the viewing front, but still I do recommend the movie. It's not going to be a classic of the genre or anything like that, but I find that people that are into werewolf movies love to watch almost all of them and get something out of each, even the cheapest, nastiest one. They still think that is a worthwhile visit. So but this one is production standards are very high. The acting's great. The setup and premise is fine. And you just need to enter it with an open mind, I think, because it's not a remake. It's just it's as different to the original as his Invisible Man was to the original Invisible Man, which was quite different.
Yeah, right.
Have you seen the Invisible Man?
Very good. I haven't seen any of these Universal Monsters things. No.
What, the remakes, or you haven't seen the originals?
I haven't seen the originals either.
Man, why am I talking to you at all? Do I know you?
Exactly.
You're a total stranger. Huh? God. Yeah. Anyway, highly recommended.
Yeah. It's, I think the only werewolf movie. No, that's not true. I've seen American Werewolf in London as well,
which I think is very overrated.
Do you? I loved it.
Yeah. Oh, it's totally fine.
Haven't seen it. Haven't seen it since I saw it in the cinema. So like can't be that good, I guess. I don't know. But you know what? I've never seen. I have never seen a zombie movie. I've never seen a zombie movie. Can you believe it? And not because I don't want to, or because it's like it irks me, or it scares me, or whatever. I just never gotten around to seeing one. Not a single one. I haven't watched The Walking Dead, and yeah.
It's funny how you can go through life with whole chunks of stuff that culturally you'd think you'd be exposed to and watch episodes of or movies of, and the whole thing just sails on by. Yeah. How do you think you go with one of the stronger ones? Do you scare easily and jump scares? You don't like them, or you're pretty cruisy?
No, I'd be fine. I'm fine. I like a scary movie. I don't see many of them. It's possibly, and again, not to denigrate the movie, because I think it was a really good movie. But Talk to Me was the one that was done in Adelaide. I watched that, and I haven't seen very many horror movies for a long time. So if there were tropes in there or things that are, that most horror movie people go, oh, yes, I've seen that before. I probably haven't seen it before. And that's hopefully possibly the one of the reasons why I really enjoyed watching a horror movie, because I'm not watching them, constantly.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I found Talk to Me really, really cool to watch.
Yeah. Oh,
And I didn't know, I don't think I knew anything about it really. We watched it because the makeup effects and prosthetics were done by Makeup Effects Group, who were the ones who were doing the ones for Trevor in the Greener Pastures short. So I thought, oh, let's have a look at this. And yeah, so it was good. Interesting that they've already made the second one, and keen to see what happens with that.
talk to me too. Talk to me too.
Yeah, talk.
Yeah. Talk to me as well.
Yeah, I think it's got to. I think it's something like Bring Her Back or something like that.
Right. No, I haven't seen it, so I have to catch up with that one as well. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
have
pretty
much
cool.
time to actually sit down and watch movies by myself, because Belle doesn't like the jump scares and the horror stuff. She tries to join in as
She
much
won't
as she
like
can.
this.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thanks for the advice. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. It's a scary movie.
Yeah.
Very cool though.
But if you're used to being
And
scared,
granted, it's set in a sleepy city like Adelaide. They didn't go and try to set it somewhere overseas or even in Melbourne or Sydney. Just the directors of Melbourne are Adelaide boys, and they said we're making it in Adelaide and can work anywhere. So why not? So it was really good.
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that was Wolfman.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the other thing that I wanted
How
to bounce.
annoying!
Sorry.
How annoying for you?
Yeah, yeah. I'm much. I'm more philosophical about it now, but I still feel that my decision is that I'll probably change the setting or put it off to excise that from the plot that I had and maybe put it into something else and utilize the scenes elsewhere. But anyway,
Before you go on, because it sounds like you're ready to move to the next subject. I tell you, it's like Greener Pastures is over 30 years old, and I have a constant fear that somebody else will do it before we finally get to the point where it's a little bit more widely known than it is now. Like that's definitely a fear of mine, that we've spent all this time on this thing, which seems pretty unique. In creative fields where it seems in storytelling where it seems to be very hard to get something that is reasonably unique. I feel like it's pretty unique, and I hope that we get it done and out to a broader audience before somebody else does a similar thing. When
yeah.
Sweet Tooth came, I haven't read it, but I watched the show. I'm going, oh my God, is it the same thing? And it's not. It's completely different. And you were involved when I was asking for quotes of
yeah.
how would you describe Greener Pastures? And honestly, I reckon 24 people, if not more, to give me a quote of, how do you describe Greener Pastures, or that, that mashup, what if you were to say it's like this mixed with that, what would you do? And nobody could come up with anything that was succinct at all, which made me frustrated, but made me feel really great at the same time.
Yeah.
Very
But I
pleased
think
that
with
it
the
seems to
issue,
be unquantifiable.
yeah, well, I think the issues that you've done already, the imprint of the idea that you've laid out already, even though you're expanding on it and will be finishing it and all that, I have plans to finish the story. I think the initial imprint has been well established of what the premise is, and how you tell or finish off telling that story is another thing. But I think the IP and the imprint of the idea has been firmly established. So I think your fear should be diminished or allayed as far as someone coming along and claiming originality of the concept, because I think you've established that really, really clearly in the issues that you've done already.
True. I totally agree with that. It's more if that person who comes along and quite innocently comes up with a very similar idea and then has a much wider audience for whatever reason, the media that they're doing it in, or the fact that it's being picked up by Image Comics or whatever, right? That's the thing that it almost doesn't matter who came up with it first. It's like who's got more eyeballs on it is the thing that will win in that case. So,
yeah. And that's kind of what I was referring to about the idea gazumping. It's just the profile.
Yeah.
like Wolfman as a Blumhouse movie will always have more profile on the short term, or ever, than a project by me
Yeah.
will have. So they win as far
Mm.
as eyeballs on idea, and that's what you have to contend with, I suppose. But yeah, you have to
Mm.
be ever vigilant, which segues quite nicely to the next subject that I wanted to run past you, is about legacy, or the concept of legacy of
Mm.
ideas and IPs. And when you're not around anymore to guide this idea, what do you do with it? And with Australian comics, as I mentioned to you before we started recording, there's a grand history of ideas just dying and disappearing, and they become a memory of, oh yeah, I used to read insert Australian comic title, and it was a great idea,
Mm.
but it hasn't been nurtured beyond the initial run, or the initial print run, or the initial creators even. There are some
Mm-hmm.
exceptions to the rule, like Ginger Meggs and characters like that have had an estate continuity that has allowed the strip to stay in the public eye. But what are your thoughts about Greener Pastures legacy, for example? It just seems how you have an invested interest in that, and
Mm.
moving forward beyond your involvement, and what do you see? What would you be happy with as far as seeing it beyond your involvement?
Uh, I guess because Greener Pastures is a finite story, I feel like there will be closure and then it will be pretty much done. Um, so the legacy in that regard is that it closes, and then the legacy is, well, here's what I hope might be a really good Australian comic that people will continue to read for the next, I don't know how many years, right? Um, that's the legacy there, I think. Um, so it's definitely not like a Ginger Meg's thing. That being said, once we hit the last issue, I would be very happy to continue to do like short stories, either drawn by me or not drawn by me. And if the comic, if the uh, it sounds so kind of cynical to say just the IP, but if there's a love for the comic and the story and the characters, and people would like to continue reading, then there's short stories that could be told that take place within the life of the characters, like what we do now. I'm constantly asking Michael if he'd like to write a short story based on this or based on that, or we never did talk about this aspect of that character. It's not really something that we should spend too much time on in the comics. So do you want to write a short story? And I'll see if I can find an artist somewhere that would like to um, uh, contribute in that way. So that would be cool to continue to do short stories. And when I add up the short stories that we've done, both art by me and art by other people, there's probably well over 100 pages worth of just short stories that we've done as well in different places. So I'm quite like that idea. Um, Before the legacy, though, I'm hoping I get it finished, and
Hmm.
I'm hoping that I get it finished as in I don't die first, which it shouldn't take that long, but also that I just can find the time and the ability to do so.
Right.
Um, yeah, time is money, and we all got to earn a living and all that kind of stuff. So,
Well,
um,
I just had a thought that the other creator that is talked about this to some extent is Dave Simmons Cerebus, where he is my understanding
mhm.
that he has openly said that if you wanted to use the character, you can go ahead and do it.
Yeah,
He's opened up the copyright, or the not. Yeah, I don't know. What's your understanding of that
yeah,
situation where you can use Cerebus?
yeah. So it goes back to his whole uh, political stance on copyright, I think, and contracts and working together and all of that kind of stuff. So Cerebus was a guest star in an early issue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and there was no contract signed. There was a gentleman's handshake, and it was always, you can always reprint it, Eastman and Laird, and I can always reprint it, and there's never any like money to exchange, blah blah blah. And then when Eastman and Laird sold the whole thing to whoever it was, I don't know, the toy company, I guess, and the toy company said, "Oh, Mr. Sim, we need you to sign this contract," and he went, "No," and they went, "What? What do we do?" kind of thing. So it kind of goes back to all of that stuff. He's quite, like a lot of things, quite strident in his opinion. And so one of the things he said was, if you want to, he says that if you can do a Cerebus story that makes more money than what I can do when I do a Cerebus story, then you should do so. And you can keep the money. And that's kind of his attitude to it. And I guess he would like to hear DC say the same thing about Batman. If I can do a Batman story and make money out of it, then why didn't you do that Batman story in the first place, sort of thing? I don't know. But yeah, so that's his attitude about Cerebus. All he wants is a little, C copyright Dave Sim, so that it's still kind of understood that he is the originator of and owner of the IP. I don't think he's okay with people reprinting his own work. I don't think that's
right.
where the line is there.
Yeah.
But the using of characters and situations, he's quite happy for people to do. And people have done it. People have regularly done short stories for their own anthologies or for whatever, and said, I've sent a copy to Dave because, after all, Dave owns the character, but I did my own Cerebus story. People do and sell. Mine's probably going to fall apart because it is an amateur product, but it's pretty cool. But this guy's just made and sold
Cool.
a 3D printed Cerebus action figure, right?
Yes.
So fully articulated.
Yeah, don't break.
Different hands, different heads.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it won't break. It might fall apart. It's fallen apart a couple of times. But
right.
Yeah. So, and Sim is quite happy for people to do that, and has been from the beginning. They've got plush toys and Muppets and all sorts of things made.
And he still
so people
stands
still
by
kind
that.
of do that. Yeah, he does.
Right.
So
Well,
interesting. I don't think that'll happen for Michael and I with Greener Pastures. If it was just me, then maybe I would entertain the idea. But the fact that there's two of us, and there is a legacy in that, hopefully it will continue to sell even after Michael and I pass away. There's still money to be had from sales for our loved ones. So I guess that's kind of important. Is that the estate sort of thing? That happens with something like Ginger Megs?
Yeah. Yes, indeed. I think, and decisions made if the creator deems their creation to be important enough to have that protection of what happens when I'm gone. Do I pass along to a family member, partner, significant other that hasn't had the career in comics and knows the industry and is quite open to being taken advantage of if the IP has a certain profile, or just all that thought process of, I know a whole swag of Australian creators that are reaching a certain age. Seems I've just had a birthday, it's been on my mind, where they perhaps should be thinking, if they haven't already, about what's going to happen to their that IP or creations that they put a lot of time into. Some it'd be worthwhile, some others not so much, but it's everything to be considered. Everyone thinks their ideas and comic creations are worthwhile, or else they wouldn't be doing it. Just what to do with that,
exactly.
what to do with that, and how to create longevity so that it doesn't die on the vine once the creator's popped off this mortal coil. And it's kind of unfair. It's like having to pack up a dead relative's house, and you come across this box of stuff of, what the hell do I do with this? And there's no clear orders of what to do with it. So the creator in this instance has to make those understandings very clear before they get to the stage where someone has to make those decisions for them, because they're not around and they don't serve the deceased or the creation's requirements or needs at all. So
You actually you brought this up with me. It feels like maybe a few years ago now, and when you did, I thought to myself, I really need to get this sorted out with Michael, because it's not just me and my partner and my children, but there's Michael and his partner and his children, and so we don't want to be leaving a mess for six other people to have to figure out, discuss, debate, or
yeah,
and maybe even get even more aggro than just a debate. So yeah, it's been on my list of things to do ever since you first brought it up and made me think about it. That I we need to have a chat with Michael. Get it sorted out. What happens if one of us passes away or the other? What happens if we both pass away? How does it, how does it continue on? So I probably need proper legal advice. I probably need to look at um, IP succession plans and
yeah,
things like that when
yeah.
the IP is a shared IP.
Yeah. And also the whole option of it just grinding to a halt is totally fine as well. I mean, if the creator deems that once I can't draw anymore and whatever I'm
Mm,
publishing is the last issue, it's the last issue and that's it. It can end there. That's totally fine. But to make that decision
mm,
from the front of the brain instead of having events happen and then decisions haven't been made
mm,
is the thing that I'm
mm,
not concerned about, but I've just been thinking about. Um,
mm. So
and I think
where have you landed on that? Have you like come to any kind of formulation in your head?
yeah, I've made some conclusions that I'd like to, if I pass it along, when I pass along, that there would be a lot of information surrounding left behind or decisions made already before it gets to a point where, um, as I said, people will be making decisions for me, assuming what I want, which may not necessarily be correct. So just a clear line of
Mm,
information of what I would like done. And if certain family members can't do it, then they know who to call to get help or assistance. And it's all okay with those people to help and assist as well. And they will get certain things out of the
mm,
deal. And there's an understanding there. So there's a clarity of intent that is mapped out before things go too much further down the track
mm.
with my life and things like that. So
Is there a is there a precedence in something like what Will Eisner did with the spirit? Is there an interesting blueprint there, or from anyone else that you know of? Because I actually don't know of I haven't looked into it, so that's the reason why I don't know. But I don't know of anything
I don't
that's
know
worked like that.
the details, but there was an estate set up, which was the estate of Will Eisner that is the business that runs the characters and the rights and all that kind of stuff, and makes the decisions made about the character and who has the publishing license and things like that. And I think that would have been all set up and defined while Will was still alive. He was canny enough to
Mm,
organise all of
yeah.
that so that there was a succession plan put in train before he got that much older. I think he probably would have done that when he was, in his 60s or 70s at a guess. But again, there would have been clear pathways of and understanding of what he would want if he was to pass away. And I think that's
Mm,
exactly what I'm talking about. Is the same kind of thing of better to have these things sorted out way ahead of time than to leave it
mm,
to families to squabble, to friends and partners to squabble, or to lawyers to squabble, because that just creates a lot of aggro that the dead person doesn't need, because they just want to sleep peacefully in their afterlife and get on with things.
that's right.
Yes.
Exactly. Get onto
Uh,
that drawing board.
yeah, don't make me
Yeah.
come back
Oh,
there.
yeah. Interesting. That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
So,
yeah,
um,
interesting. Something I'll have to really look into.
and sure, Australian comics, they have different characters, have different profiles and popularity. But tomorrow there could be the next big thing like Bluey or whatever that comes to mind. That there needs to be some creative ownership and
Mm,
control and plan there that yeah, needs to be undertaken so that there's
mm,
a continuity of intent, instead of just selling an IP and then it gets run into the ground or not used at all or just buried. Uh,
yeah.
so my
Yeah.
overarching point is that I don't think too many Australian creators think about
No.
that too much, because they're either too young and
Yeah.
a kind of a middle-aged to old person's thought process, But if their idea is good enough for them to invest so much time in, it's good enough to invest for when they're not around anymore as well, if they want the whole idea to have longevity, to protect it somewhat.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting. So what are we going to do about that? Are we are we going we're going to be telling people Killaroo's just come to mind. Like that's I know Darren's had lots of collaborators, but pretty sure that Darren owns in inverted commas owns that whole IP and that whole kit and caboodle. And you know, what if he was to pass away? Like, is he just like that's it? Which maybe it should be, like put a bow on it and say this is a historic element of Australian comic books that lasted during this period under the ownership. There's a better word, the curatorship of Darren Close, and now that's over, and no one else can touch it because it's an IP that is owned by someone, even if they're no longer around. Like, what does happen to something like the Jackaroo or Killaroo or whatever once the creator passes away? Is it really just like not allowed to be touched anymore? I've never even thought about that.
Yeah, well, that's part of the whole thought process of the whole thing, and with Killaroo in particular, it's totally Darren's call. If he hasn't got a forward plan for what happens when he's not around, then it does grind to a halt. That's pretty much a concept that can't move forward because he's not around to make the decisions, and no one has the rights to the character. So to a certain extent, his next of kin, whatever that may be, might have a claim to it as part of his estate. But again, if he hasn't ruled in his will or in his I don't want to talk about Daz not being around, but you
can say Jackaroo instead.
Just as an example. Well, Jackaroo is instead. Yeah, we can talk about that. That because I'm thinking about it, I am putting all this stuff. I'm making decisions now as to what happens or what I would like to happen with the Jackaroo moving forward if I'm not around. So it's down to the creator to make it clear in a will or in a plan that the significant others and family understand and agree to what to do in the event of my passing.
Or just leave it to the Australian comics community to have fun with and move ahead with.
As long as I have a copyright line at the bottom.
Yeah, that's right. Created by,
copyright Gary Chaloner. Spell the name right.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, yeah, it's on my list of things to do with Michael. Probably once again, these things seem to be pushed back, but once we're well past the short film aspect and we've got some time to breathe, that will be the next important thing to talk about.
Well, the whole thing just comes from like the whole idea of downsizing as you get older, and you want to not have a whole house full of comics and books and stuff like that. If you're not around, your significant other who has to downsize your life because you're not around, they wouldn't have a clue on what to do with half the stuff that I've got in my studio room next door. And
my Samuel is quite happy for me to continue to accrue more and more comics.
Yeah,
for him to inherit one day.
You've got a pretty safe situation there where you've got a couple of family members with catcher's mitts on. Just in fact, they're probably planning your death.
That's right.
I'd watch them if I were you.
Could very well be.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah. So but the whole idea of leaving a lifetime of comics collecting and art collecting to a significant other who stands in the middle of the room and looks around to go, I don't know anything about anything in this room, and that's where they will need some assistance and some guidance and some help in who to talk to and how to handle that situation, because they would be in great grief that I'm not around, and they'd be crying, and the tears will be, luckily everything's in a plastic bag and there's no tears ruining the value of the book.
That's right. The Chaloner collection up for auction. but unfortunately some water damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
what's the conclusion that we come to there? Think about it.
Yeah, I don't.
Think
Yeah,
about it,
I think, and do something about it.
and talk about it and do something about it. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think I'm not a lawyer. Like I'm reading a law book at the moment, but I'm not a lawyer,
yeah.
and I'm but as far as I'm aware, if you put something in writing and you sign it and date it and you say these are my wishes, then that holds a lot of weight. Um, but yes, I think it's very important to then say, hey, everybody, I've got this thing, have a read of it, and here it is in an envelope, and I'm putting it here in this drawer, and everybody knows what the go is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The other thing is, Gary, I don't know what your uh, feelings of the thoughts on the afterlife are, but once I'm gone, I'm gone, and it's like, uh, whatever, do whatever you like with it. I don't care anymore because I'm
Uh,
gone.
yeah, I'm pretty much on the same page. But as I say, don't make me come back there and sort things out. You won't like it.
That's
Yeah,
right. That you won't like. Yeah. All right. So get on to that, everybody.
yeah.
Uh,
I think that might be
dear
it for the
listener.
week. 10:47.
Oh, I was going to say, wonderful piece of work now that I'm holding this in my hands. I love it.
You can
Gary,
talk about that if
fantastic
you
work.
want.
Yeah, this is beautiful. Wonderful stuff by one of the most important creators in comics, Will Eisner. In the front, all that amazing Will Eisner stuff. Great tone by you, yeah.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, with a bit of help from my
Uh,
son Jake, and for Darren, he helped out, and
yeah,
Damien Shanahan, he also helped a bit as well. So there's some thank yous in the back there. But the thing that chuffs me out the
and
most
then
about this
great,
project, yes,
great
Trevor the
stuff by
Bull.
Chaloner,
Mm,
and then yeah, the Trevor the Bull page. Wow, there's a shout out. That's fantastic. Yeah,
yeah.
sorry, go on.
Yeah, you know what freaks me out the most, which is a lovely feeling, is that book in 2025 has links that go right back through to the history of comics to the late 30s, and
Yeah,
it's a solid
amazing.
through line, which I didn't think about much, but it was something that popped into my brain a couple of days ago as I was flicking through the book, and that continuity of American comics from 1930, late 30s,
Yeah.
when Will was starting out. There's a solid through line through John Law, through Kitchen Sink, through Cyclone Comics, through and then my
Mm,
involvement right through to Titan's involvement and IDW's back in the early 2000s as well. And
mm,
there's a through
yeah,
line there that is I'm very proud of, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
spooky to
It's
think that it's there.
yeah, great. It's something to be very proud of, to be involved in that really important part of comic book history,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
worldwide comic book history for sure.
yeah.
I've got a couple of other things here that John Horvath, if you remember
Oh,
John Horvath from Cyberswine, he's doing a little mini comic called Hangman, ultra-violent uh, retribution. What do you call it? Vigilante stuff. Uh, in John's
ooh,
faux or kind of reminiscent of Disney
yep.
television animation style. It's great fun. It actually feels a bit like a no nonsense 90s action film. Lots of gunfire for probably not much good reason, and but it's great fun. Detective, female detective going, we've got to get this guy, and everyone else is going, well, I don't know, I think he's making our job easier getting this scum off the street. So
Right.
good fun, and I'm very grateful that John has sent me a couple of copies. So
Oh,
I'm going to
lovely.
draw him up
Yeah.
a poster at some point, and there's a few posters in the back by a few people. So Don Ticchio and Ant Larkham, that we both know from back in the day. Uh, there's one by Jason Paulos in one of the issues as well. And now that I've said a few names, I'll feel terrible if I don't say the rest of them. Who else was in here? Um, was Hernandez? Did Hernandez do one? Um, all right. Now we're getting boring. I'll shut up and we'll just move along. All
Snip,
right. And the
snip,
other
edit,
great thing,
edit.
which I haven't had a chance. haven't had a chance to
Manifesto.
read yet is Manifesto by Stuart Medley from Western Australia.
Oh,
I
yes.
totally forgot that I said to Stuart when he was showing this on the internet, I'll have a copy, please, and I'll send you some copies of Greener Pastures. And I forgot to send him copies of my work, but he sent me this, so I better send it back. But it's like a panel per page, all
Nice.
these square panels
Yeah,
in the
lovely.
European kind of album style, but
Yeah,
in
lovely.
this
I
what
might have to track
size is
down a
it? Yeah,
copy of
it's a
that. Hmm.
beautiful piece of work,
Yeah.
about 148 millimeter square.
Yeah.
So I
Nice.
guess that's A5 squared off.
Yeah.
Um, he calls it a graphic novella,
Does
and
he
this
now?
is one of the things where I wish I had more time to do side projects, because something like this is a really beautiful piece of something to have a bit of fun with, right? So,
Yeah, yeah. And is
um,
it American
so
comic size? No, it isn't.
no, it isn't. Oh, and I sent my my man on the inside, Samuel, to check out that oversized Batman.
Hmm.
He was at King's yesterday, and I asked him, check it out. And is it like, how big is it? And is it black and white or color? So they're basically just reproducing the comic at original art size in full color. So it's not even going to give you any extra information as a creator as to just the line work. It's still going to have all of the color over the top of it.
Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah, there you go.
Interesting.
So
And what about
yeah,
did
he
he
had
did he
a look
inform
at.
you on rigidity and paper stock?
No, I didn't ask him those specifics.
Hmm.
I'm still pretty keen to go in and have a look at it myself, so I might do that.
Yeah, cool. Just John Horvath, he reminds me of the test pages he did for a Southern Squadron Sunday strip. He was going to be the artist
Oh yeah, yeah.
for a cartoony version of the Southern Squadron, which didn't get up and get legs. So that's a bit sad.
Ah,
But
that would have been awesome.
there might be some art that Danny Best has of that, I think, lying around that might end up in the Cyclone book that he's writing. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think he might have some. I'm not sure, but anyway, yeah, the Squadron as a Sunday strip would have been great.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, yeah,
hmm.
yeah.
Okay, that's
Cool.
all for
All
now.
right.
Talk
I
to
reckon.
you during the week, and I'll get to editing this and see how much we have to edit out. Talk
Cool,
to you
man.
later.
Wonderful.
Okay, on
All
the
right. Thanks.